Welcome to The Good Ride. I'm James Beastie, and I've been avoiding reality full-time for 14 and a half years to help you buy the right snowboard gear. And today we're talking about the Nidecker Supermatic Carbons, a binding that is still very heavy. It's a little dead underfoot, has a really aggressive plastic base plate. High backs that when down can get in your way when you're skating, but it's very responsive. It's more supportive than some flow style bindings. It has more response than the regular Supermatic. And of course, the reason why you get it is it's very easy in and out. So I tested and extensively compared this against my Union Force, Union Atlas Step-On, Burton Genesis Step-On. I used my Nitro Team TLS, which I'm really enjoying this season. And when I was in the step-in, I used the Burton Ion Step-On. I wish I could have used a Nitro Step-On, but I couldn't get access to one, so I had to use what I had access to. I also wanted to compare the Supermatic Carbon to the regular Supermatic, but Nidecker didn't have one to send, and I don't have one. The Good Ride pockets are not that deep. For the boards, I tested this primarily on the new Nidecker Mellow, but I also used the Yes Standard on Ink, a board I love that's more of a mid-wide, so a really good board to test turn initiation with. And of course, this review is honest and objective with zero brand oversight. And we can do this because of sponsors like Blower Board Shop. They've been selling snowboard gear to snowboarders longer than most resorts have been allowing snowboarders on their lifts. So give them some love, give them some support. They have a large online presence and they'll do everything that the big brands do to win your business. So let's talk weight. These are 2 pounds, 13 ounces with discs and screws in. That is really heavy. It's almost 3 pounds. In comparison to my Union Force, these are 2 pounds, 5 ounces. The Burton Genesis Step-On, 1 pound, 14 ounces. The Burton Ion is 2 pounds, 9 ounces. My Nitro Team TLS is 2 pounds, 5 ounces. The Atlas Step-On, again with discs and screws, is 1 pound, 15 ounces. So if you go Nidecker Supermatic or Supermatic Carbon, you're going to have a heavier setup all around. For me on the chair, I can feel it a little bit, but when I'm going down the mountain, I don't really feel it as much. Even when I switched to Step-On, yes, it felt lighter, but I just don't think it's that much of a deal breaker for a lot of people. But if you're really into weight, you want to avoid Nidecker Supermatics for now. Now let's talk Highback Flex. This carbon Highback is super stiff. I can't even get it to give a little. It is very stiff. There's not much twist, not much give. And there's no high back rotation either. For some reason, I thought this would bite into my calves more than it did. And it's good that they have a little EVA foam padding on the back, but overall, it's a very stiff high back. I'm not really into that kind of high back personally, but if you like a really stiff high back, you might be into this in comparison to like the Genesis Reflex and the Atlas Step-On. There's a very easy twist and a little bit of give going back. Same with the Union Force, a little less than these two, but still a little give and a little twist. Now, when it comes to the adjustability, there is none. You compromise a lot to have this quick release, but it's not that much different when it comes to step-on bindings as well. You're really compromising in adjustability. You have a little bit of adjustability if you can center your boot in the binding to slide this way from tip to tail to adjust your stance with. But most people, because there is only an adjustable gas pedal and not really an adjustable heel loop or high back rotation, you're really limited, and most likely you'll have to turn the disc this way and slide tip to toe to center your boot on the board and get more symmetrical response. That's just something you have to deal with Now, when it comes to flex underfoot, there just isn't much going on here. You have a very hard plastic base plate with only a little bit of stuff milled out. It's pretty hard on the board below you, and also it has a very stiff feeling underfoot. So if you're not that into buttering and you want a stiff feeling underfoot that stiffens up the ride and helps a little with response, this could work, but it does feel dead underfoot, and it's not ideal, especially in comparison to bindings like Reflex that actually bend. And the same thing with the Union Atlas. You have a soft, flexible base plate similar to Burton's Step-On, and even my Union Force have a easier flex underfoot than these Supermatics. Now, when it comes to turn initiation and response, I found that this is a lot better than I thought it would be, and it was pretty much right there with the Force, maybe a little bit more responsive. Not as symmetrical as the Force. I felt like the heel side response was more than the toe side. That's a common problem with all flow bindings. Some people get used to it and actually really like it. Some people like me don't, but it's all personal preference. And I felt like this carbon fiber gas pedal did more to give it a little more toe side response than, let's say, the regular Supermatic, but it paled in comparison to Genesis Step-On and the Atlas Step-On. Even with my Ion Step-On top lacing very loose, it was far more responsive than the Supermatic Carbon and the Force. Now, when it comes to boot support, you can see right here with the Force, even if we line up these two bindings, the Force sits a little higher. It felt more supportive. When I transferred from the Force, which is my daily driver and what I'm really used to, and went to this, I felt a little less boot support. But I was surprised at how much more boot support there was versus the older flow straps that were more of a one piece instead of toe strap, ankle strap with a loose connector here like this. I found that if adjusted properly, and what I needed to do was keep this connector strap very loose, and then if I set this up correctly and this up correctly, I could step in and feel good support, and I didn't have to leave it a touch loose like I often did with some of the flow bindings, especially with their first strap, not this new hybrid strap. This just has more support and I like it. It still feels a little less on the toe side, like I don't have as much response and support as I do with this, and as I did with the Genesis stuff. But if you get a Step-On boot that doesn't have a supporting strap, you might feel a little fold, and it might not feel as supportive as, let's say, this or the Union Force, but you are connected to the high back. So in a lot of ways, your ankle is supported just by being connected to that high back, but you're also getting a more restrictive feel and you don't have range of motion, which is something I'm not that into. I like to be able to move back and forth like I'm in a traditional binding, and these feel a little more restrictive. So that's always a positive and negative to these things. But overall, I felt the support was good, not great, but pretty good for a flow type of binding. And when it comes to the ratchet system, you're not going to be using this much. You're going to be using this to get dialed the first time, and then you're going to leave it where it is. It has these release things, and once this is set, it's kind of locked. So it's a little more difficult than a regular ratchet system where you just grab here. You have to grab this part right here and then adjust. And so it's a little more difficult, but it's not a problem. And when it comes to shock absorption and dampness, you're really not getting much here. It's definitely less shock absorbent and damp than a regular Supermatic, which isn't that shock absorbent and damp to start with. You have a little pad on the heel, which is more than Clue, which is good, but it's nothing like going with Step-On. There's a lot more padding there. Same with the Atlas step-on. This is all EVA foam, and there's EVA foam on the front. My Union Force has a lot of foam too throughout the footbed. This footbed does not. As you get to the gas pedal, it's all carbon, and you really feel that underfoot. It really takes away the shock absorption and dampness. Even though there's EVA foam underneath it, I really felt this right here. So if you're somebody who likes a shock absorbent damp binding, the Supermatic will be better, but all these other bindings and most bindings out there are going to be more shock absorbent than this. This can absorb chatter pretty well. Not amazing for being a carbon high-end binding, but it's not terrible either. I didn't feel like it massively increased the chatter or crankiness underfoot when I switched from, let's say, my Force to these. There's a noticeable difference, but it's not terrible. You're not going to compromise too much in terms of shock absorption going from regular to carbon. So overall, for me personally, looking at all these bindings, I'm still with my Union Force. I gotta say, this easy in and out, stepping in and out, feels so good. It's so satisfying. It's only a few extra seconds. It's like maybe 30 seconds faster than me just strapping in, standing up, which all of you should do anyways if you're not on quick release, but it's just so easy. It just feels so good. One thing I didn't like, coming right off step-on and going to Supermatic, I didn't like that this high back could stick out. Sometimes it just gets stuck this way and it's hard to manage. You kind of have to keep it like this when you're in the lift line skating. And then you have to remember when you're getting off the chair to push this back, or right as you get off the chair, you have to slap it back so you can step in. It's not like step on where you just step on and you never have to worry about a high back sticking out and not hitting the person next to you or tripping you up when you're skating. So that's a little annoying. But if you have skier friends and you want more of a traditional binding feeling in quick release, you're okay with a heavier binding, and you don't want that locked in feel that you get with step on that restricts your range of motion, these might work for you. So there you have it.